what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. The Name of God is Mercy is the name of the book-length interview with Pope Francis on the topic of mercy. The book, based on an interview conducted by Italian journalist Andrea Tornielli, is being released worldwide. The Pope was asked in the book why he negatively mentions the scholars of the law in his morning homilies. The Pope responded with a story of Jesus' healing of the lepers. The Pope said that when Jesus touched the lepers, he showed a message of inclusion of the most marginalized people. The Pope said that Jesus didn't sit down at a desk and study the situation. He didn't consult the experts for pros and cons. What mattered to him was reaching people and saving them. The Pope told Tornielli he is convinced that God's mercy is Jesus' most important message and that it is a message people today urgently need to hear. He said the priests, especially in the confessional, must do all they can to communicate God's love and mercy. More news now from the Vatican. In this past Sunday's Angelus from St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis told those gathered that they should celebrate the date of their baptism to commemorate their commitment to Christ.
As the Catholic Church celebrated the feast of the baptism of Jesus, Pope Francis spoke during the Angelus on the sacrament and some of its practical consequences.
Comporta la responsabilità di seguire Gesù, il servo obbediente, e riprodurre in noi stessi I suoi lineamenti, cioè mansuetudine, umiltà, tenerezza. E questo non è facile, specialmente se intorno a noi c'è tanta intolleranza, superbia, durezza. Ma con la forza che ci viene dallo Spirito Santo è possibile.
The Pope made a proposal to the pilgrims that each one discover and celebrate the anniversary date of their baptism. He asked them to ask their parents or parish about the exact date.
Compito a casa per questa settimana, andare a cercare la data del mio battesimo. Festeggiare quel giorno significa riaffermare la nostra adesione a Gesù con l'impegno di vivere da cristiani, membri della Chiesa e di una umanità nuova in cui tutti sono fratelli.
In news now from around the world, Ghana has accepted 2 former prisoners from Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And now the country's bishops are criticizing the move, saying it is wrong and dangerous. In a statement, the Ghana Bishops' Conference urged the government to act in the best interest of the nation by sending these men back to wherever they came from. One of the men fought for Osama bin Laden, the other trained with al-Qaeda. The statement from the bishops posed these questions. What is their mission here in Ghana? Does their presence not constitute or pose a clear danger to Ghanaians? They also asked that if the prisoners are harmless and have been cleared of any terrorist act by the U.S. government, why were they not sent back to Yemen or Saudi Arabia or Afghanistan? They also suggested sending the men to the United States. The bishop said that in the past, Ghana has been open to receiving refugees, but that the 2 men are not in this category. Back to the Vatican, Pope Francis presided over the annual baptism liturgy in the Sistine Chapel on the feast of the baptism of the Lord. In his homily, the Pope focused on faith as the greatest gift a parent can give their child.
On the same place where he was elected, Pope Francis presided over one of the most memorable ceremonies that can be seen in the Vatican, the baptisms.
Aurelio Samuel, Ginevra Maria,
Sofia Maria Guadalupe.
A total of 26 babies were baptized, 13 boys and 13 girls whose parents are Vatican employees. During his homily, the Pope reminded parents that faith is the best legacy they can leave to their children.
La Chiesa, quando vi consegnerà la candela accesa, vi dirà di custodire la fede in questi bambini. E alla fine non dimenticatevi che la più grande eredità che voi potesti dare ai vostri bambini è la fede. Cercare che non venga persa, farla crescere e lasciarla come eredità.
The homily was particularly short. He told mothers that if necessary, they could feed their infants there.
Se il tuo bambino ha fame, dagli da mangiare qui con tutta libertà. Arvid Jan Pavel, io ti battezzo nel nome del Padre e del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo.
And finally, in the news, Jesuit Father Eusebio Francisco Aquino, an Italian missionary to the American Southwest, was honored recently at Arizona's Tumacacori National Historical Park with Kino Legacy Day. Known as the Padre on Horseback, the priest founded 24 missions and was also known as an astronomer, builder, map maker, linguist, agriculturalist, and stockman. Tucson Bishop Gerald Kakanis held Mass outside the ruins of Mission San Jose de Tumacacori Church. The site was named a national monument by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1908. Father Kino was born in 1645 in Italy, was sent as a young Jesuit missionary to Mexico, and worked in Baja California for 3 years. He spent the rest of his life in what is now the northern part of Mexico's Sonora State and southern Arizona. The Mexican Archdiocese of Hermosillo in Sonora, the Diocese of Tucson, and the Italian Archdiocese of Trent, where Father Kino was born, have all been advocating for his canonization. Well, that's all the information we have for you at this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget, you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.